The lights in the laboratory softly illuminated every corner, the silence broken only by the faint hum of equipment. Alice focused intently on the computer screen in front of her, fingers flying over the keyboard. She was a young quantum physicist, her curly hair often disheveled from deep thought. Her eyes shone with endless wisdom and determination. "Carl, the data transmission is a bit unstable. How's it on your end?" Alice asked, frowning. Carl, Alice's colleague and friend, was a typical tech geek with thick glasses and always wearing a loose hoodie. He looked up from another computer, pushing up his glasses. "The system is still being debugged. It might be an interference issue. Try adjusting the frequency." Alice nodded, her fingers swiftly typing in a new set of commands on the keyboard. The core equipment of the experiment began to emit a low hum, and a slight tension seemed to fill the air. "Hope this works," Alice muttered to herself, eyes fixed on the constantly changing data charts on the screen. Suddenly, a strange light emanated from the center of the equipment, gradually forming into a rotating vortex. Alice and Carl held their breath, staring unblinkingly at this bizarre phenomenon. "Alice, look!" Carl exclaimed, pointing to the center of the vortex. In the rotating vortex, a black cat slowly appeared, as if crossing over from another world. The cat stepped out gracefully, standing fearlessly on the lab bench, its black fur shimmering under the lights. How is this possible?" Alice looked at the cat in disbelief, turning to Carl. "This can't be a coincidence," Carl muttered. "This cat must be from another parallel universe." Alice approached the cat, and the cat's eyes met hers, seemingly conveying some kind of message. Alice reached out, gently stroking the cat's head, feeling its warmth and softness. "We need to find out where this cat came from," Alice said firmly. "Maybe it's the key to unlocking the secrets of parallel universes." Carl nodded in agreement. "But be careful. We don't know what it might have brought with it." Alice picked up the cat, carefully examining its body. Suddenly, she noticed an old and exquisite collar around the cat's neck. The collar had the name Thomas engraved on it, along with an address. "Thomas Black? Who's that?" Alice murmured to herself, frowning. Carl quickly searched the name on his computer. "There's no famous scientist or relevant person named Thomas Black in our universe." "Maybe we should find this Thomas Black," Alice said thoughtfully. "He might know the secret of this cat." Carl nodded. "Tomorrow we'll look into this name and see what clues we can find." Holding the mysterious black cat, Alice was filled with curiosity and anticipation. Perhaps this cat would indeed lead her to an unknown world and unveil the secrets of parallel universes. The next morning, Alice and Carl decided to head to Thomas Black's address, an old mansion on the outskirts of town. Alice held the black cat in her arms, filled with questions and anticipation. "Are you sure this is a good idea, Alice?" Carl asked, looking a bit uneasy. "We have no choice," Alice said firmly. "We must find out where this cat came from. It might be the key to unlocking the secrets of parallel universes." They arrived at Thomas Black's address, an old Victorian house that looked a bit worn but still retained its former elegance. Alice and Carl climbed the steps and knocked on the door. A few minutes later, a tall man opened the door, wearing an old-fashioned robe. His gray hair and beard gave him a somewhat mysterious appearance. He was Thomas Black. "May I help you?" Thomas asked in a deep, powerful voice. "Are you Mr. Thomas Black?" Alice asked. "I am Thomas Black," he nodded. "And you are?" "I'm Alice, and this is my colleague Carl," Alice explained. "We found a cat during our experiment, and it was wearing your collar." Thomas's gaze fell on the black cat in Alice's arms, his expression changing slightly. He gestured for them to come in and closed the door. "How did you find it?" Thomas asked, a hint of tension in his voice. Alice briefly recounted the events of the experiment. Thomas listened thoughtfully. "This cat is indeed mine," Thomas finally said. "Her name is Mia." "Can you tell us where Mia came from?" Carl asked. Thomas sighed and sat down in an old armchair. "It's a long story. Mia is not an ordinary cat. She is the result of my many years of research into parallel universes. She can travel between different universes." "You mean Mia can freely travel through parallel universes?" Alice asked in surprise. Thomas nodded. "Yes, Mia has a special ability, but her existence also poses a danger. Many people want to exploit her ability for nefarious purposes." "So, what should we do?" Carl asked. Thomas looked at Alice and Carl, his eyes serious. You must be very careful. If you decide to continue researching Mia, you will face great danger. Many people, including some inter-universal criminal organizations, are looking for her. Alice nodded, her curiosity and sense of responsibility preventing her from backing down. We'll be careful, but we need more information. Thomas took an old notebook from the bookshelf and handed it to Alice. This is my research record over the years. I hope it will help you. Alice took the notebook, feeling its weight in history. She knew that everything ahead would be more complex and dangerous, but she was determined to uncover the secrets behind this cat. On their way back, Alice opened the notebook, which detailed Thomas's research on parallel universes and Mia. Every page was filled with strange symbols and complex formulas, making her feel both excited and puzzled. Alice, are we really going to continue? Carl asked again. Alice nodded firmly. Yes, Carl, we must continue. Mia brings us not just danger, but also hope to unlock the mysteries of the universe. As night fell, Alice and Carl returned to the lab and sat at the workbench, carefully studying the notebook Thomas had given them. The contents left them astonished. These symbols and formulas, Alice murmured. They're much more complex than our current theories on parallel universes. Carl flipped through the pages, his eyes scanning every detail. Thomas's research clearly surpasses our understanding. He mentions an inter-universal transport device and the cat's unique genetic structure. Alice nodded, various hypotheses and possibilities flashing through her mind. Mia isn't just a carrier, she is the key to crossing universes. As they delved deeper into the research, there was a gentle knock on the lab door. Alice and Carl exchanged a glance, and Alice stood up to answer it. Standing at the door was a young woman with long hair and sharp eyes. She introduced herself. I'm Lily, Alice's sister. Alice looked at her in surprise. Lily? What are you doing here? Lily smiled mysteriously. I had a feeling you needed my help, so I came. Alice invited Lily in and introduced her to Carl. This is my sister, Lily. She has some special abilities. Carl looked at Lily curiously. Special abilities? Lily nodded. I can sense the existence of parallel universes and sometimes foresee certain fragments of the future. Alice handed Lily the notebook. We're studying this notebook. It's Thomas Black's research record. We need your help. Lily took the notebook and read through it carefully. After a while, she said, These symbols and formulas are indeed complex, but they are not without pattern. Thomas's research involves a special energy field that can penetrate the barriers between universes. Alice began to understand. So Mia is the carrier of this energy field, allowing her to travel freely between different universes. Carl interjected. Then, how can we use Mia's ability to find Isabel? Lily pondered for a moment. First, we need to recreate Thomas's experimental conditions in the lab. Then, through Mia's energy field, we can enter other parallel universes. Alice and Carl got busy, rearranging the experimental equipment according to Lily's instructions. Mia seemed to sense the changes, quietly patrolling the lab and occasionally looking up at Alice with what seemed like a wise gleam in her eyes. Once everything was ready, Lily stood at the control panel and took a deep breath. Now start the device. Alice pressed the button, and the experimental equipment emitted a low hum, tension filling the air. Mia walked to the center of the equipment and sat down calmly, as if she knew what was about to happen. As the device activated, a strange light once again emanated from the center, forming into a rotating vortex. Alice, Carl, and Lily held their breath, eyes fixed on the phenomenon. Mia, it's up to you, Alice whispered. Mia slowly walked towards the vortex and entered it fearlessly. Instantly, the vortex expanded, swallowing Mia's figure. Let's go in as well, Lily said firmly. Alice and Carl nodded and followed Lily into the vortex. The light of the vortex enveloped them, as if they were traversing the barriers of time and space. After a moment of dizziness, they found themselves standing in an unfamiliar world. It was a highly advanced city with towering skyscrapers and numerous flying vehicles in the sky. Alice and Carl were awestruck by the scene before them, while Lily remained relatively calm. Welcome to another parallel universe, Lily said. Our adventure has just begun. They knew that this world held more secrets and dangers, but they were ready. No matter how many unknown challenges lay ahead, they would face them one by one and uncover the truth of the parallel universes. Alice, Carl, and Lily wandered through the fascinating new world, observing everything around them. The technology was highly advanced, with pedestrians wearing various high-tech outfits and flying vehicles darting between skyscrapers. Although captivated by the futuristic cityscape, they knew their mission was far more critical than sightseeing. "We have to find Isabel. She's the key to all of this," Alice said with determination. Lily closed her eyes, concentrating, trying to sense Isabel's presence. "She's in this city, but her exact location is unclear. We need to investigate further." Carl scanned the surroundings and noticed a massive advertisement screen suspended in midair. The screen displayed a news report about a famous scientist, Isabel, who had gone missing. The news mentioned that she had been conducting secret research in this world before her sudden disappearance. "It looks like we have a lead." Carl pointed to the screen. "She's missing in this world, too." Alice nodded. "We need to find the place where she worked. Maybe we can uncover more clues there." They walked along the streets for a while until they found a large research building. The building had a modern exterior, exuding an air of advanced technology. Alice approached the reception desk and explained their purpose. "We are friends of Dr. Isabel. We heard she's gone missing, and we'd like to learn more about her situation," Alice said. The receptionist eyed them briefly and nodded. "Please wait a moment. I'll contact the relevant personnel for you." A few minutes later, a middle-aged man approached. He introduced himself. "I'm John, the head of security for this building." "You're friends of Isabel?" Alice nodded. "Yes, we're searching for her. Her disappearance seems to be connected to our research on parallel universes." John looked serious. "Follow me. I'll take you to her lab." They followed John to a closed laboratory filled with various high-tech equipment. John opened the lab door, revealing a tidy but empty room. "This is where Isabel was last seen," John explained. "She was conducting an experiment on parallel universes, and then suddenly disappeared. We've been searching for her ever since, but we have no leads." Alice walked into the lab, carefully examining every corner. On a desk, she found a lab journal and opened it to find Isabel's research notes. "She mentioned a special device that could open a portal to parallel universes," Alice read aloud. "This is very similar to the technology we've been using." Carl inspected the equipment nearby. "These devices are far more advanced than ours. Maybe we can use them to find her." Lily closed her eyes again, trying to sense Isabel's presence. After a moment, she opened her eyes. "She's in a hidden location in this world. I can feel her energy signature. We need to find that place." John nodded. "I'll do everything I can to assist you. If you can find Isabel, perhaps we can uncover the secrets of parallel universes." Alice, Carl, and Lily conducted a thorough search of the lab, discovering more clues about Isabel's research. Her work involved a technology that could stabilize the portals between parallel universes, which was exactly what they needed. "We need to find the device she mentioned," Alice said. "It might be the key to locating Isabel." John provided a city map marked with several potential locations. Alice and Carl decided to split up to expedite the search for Isabel. "We'll stay in touch," Alice told Carl and Lily. "No matter what happens, be careful." Carl nodded, handing out a small communicator. "This will help us stay in contact. Good luck." Alice and Lily headed to one of the locations together, while Carl went to another alone. The trio split up, hoping to find Isabel as quickly as possible and uncover the secrets behind everything. As night fell and the city lights twinkled, they knew the path ahead was filled with unknowns and dangers. But they were prepared to face anything, determined to find Isabel and unravel the mystery of the parallel universes, no matter the cost. Alice, Lily, and Mia quickly returned to their temporary base with the crystal they had retrieved from the library. Carl had been waiting anxiously, worry etched on his face. "Are you all okay?" Carl asked urgently. Alice nodded and showed him the crystal. "We found it, but Thomas is also tracking us. He's not who we thought he was." Carl frowned. "Thomas? You mean the mysterious cat owner?" "He's not just a cat owner. He has his own agenda, very different from ours," Alice explained. Lily added, "We need to activate the transport device immediately and use this crystal to stabilize the portal and find Isabel. Thomas won't let us go easily." They quickly set to work, assembling the transport device in the lab and carefully placing the crystal at its core. The device began to emit a soft glow, and an unusual energy ripple filled the air. All systems are operating normally, Carl confirmed. Are we ready? Alice took a deep breath. Activate the transport device. Let's go find Isabel. Carl pressed the activation button, and the device emitted a bright light. Mia walked to the center of the device, her eyes glinting mysteriously. Suddenly, a swirling vortex appeared in the room, and Alice, Carl, and Lily were pulled into it. After a moment of dizziness, they found themselves in a completely different world. The sky was a strange shade of purple, and the ground was covered in crystals that glowed blue. The air was thick with a mysterious and unfamiliar energy. Where are we? Carl asked, looking around in amazement. Lily closed her eyes and concentrated. This is another parallel universe, a world full of energy. I can sense Isabel's presence. She's nearby. Alice nodded. Let's split up and find Isabel. They followed a path covered in crystals, and soon a building emitting a blue glow appeared in the distance. The building looked modern and strange, blending technology and nature seamlessly. She should be in this building, Lily said. They entered the building and found it filled with high-tech equipment and pipes. The walls were covered in strange symbols and formulas. Alice felt a familiar presence, knowing Isabel had to be here. Alice, look! Carl pointed to a door with a metal plaque that read, Dr. Isabel's Laboratory. Alice excitedly pushed the door open, revealing a familiar figure standing in the center of the room. It was Isabel, looking tired but with sharp eyes. Alice? Carl? Lily? Isabel said in surprise. What are you doing here? Alice rushed forward and hugged Isabel. We finally found you. We've been looking for you ever since you disappeared. Isabel sighed and smiled. Thank you. I knew you would come for me, but things are more complicated than we thought. They sat down, and Isabel began to tell her story. She had discovered this energy-rich world while conducting parallel universe experiments, and had been trapped here. She had been researching how to stabilize the portal to return to her universe. We found the stabilizing crystal, Alice said. But Thomas is also after us. He has his own plans. Isabel's expression grew serious. Thomas is dangerous. He wants to use the power of the parallel universes to control them all. We must stop him. Alice nodded. We're willing to help you. Isabel smiled. Good. We need to combine my research with the crystal you brought to stabilize the portal completely and return to our universe. They worked together, integrating Isabel's research with the crystal. After some tense moments, the transport device finally stabilized, and the vortex became steady and bright. We're ready to go back, Isabel said. But be careful. Thomas might be waiting for us on the other side. Alice, Carl, and Lily nodded, filled with determination and courage. They knew they would face even greater challenges once they returned, but they were prepared. Let's go home, Alice said firmly. They entered the vortex together, the light engulfing them as they were transported back to their universe. As Isabel had predicted, Thomas was waiting for them, a sly smile on his face. Welcome back, Thomas sneered. The game has just begun. Alice knew the real battle was about to start, but she and her friends were ready. No matter how many dangers and challenges lay ahead, they would face them head-on, uncover the mysteries of the parallel universes, and stop Thomas's schemes. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel had barely stepped out of the transport device when they were surrounded by Thomas and his henchmen. Thomas's eyes glinted coldly, a mocking smile playing on his lips. Alice, did you really think you could escape my grasp so easily? Thomas whispered. Alice clenched her fists and replied coldly. Thomas, what exactly do you want? Thomas sneered. What I want is simple. Absolute control over the parallel universes, and the crystal and research you possess are exactly what I need. Isabel stepped forward, her voice firm. Thomas, your ambition will destroy countless universes. We won't let you succeed. Thomas's smile faded, his expression darkening. Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being ruthless. With a wave of his hand, his henchmen attacked. Carl and Lily quickly dodged the onslaught while Alice shielded Isabel, looking for an opportunity to counterattack. Just then, a bright light erupted from the distance, and several individuals in black uniforms appeared between them. Leading them was a tall man whose device emitted a dazzling light, repelling Thomas's men. Are you all right? the tall man asked, his voice deep and powerful. Alice nodded, warily eyeing him. Who are you? We are the Resistance, the man explained. We've been tracking Thomas to stop his destruction of the parallel universes. My name is Rex. Rex briefly introduced the Resistance, a group of cross-universe scientists and warriors dedicated to protecting the safety of parallel universes and preventing people like Thomas from misusing their power. Thomas's plans have spread across multiple universes, Rex said. If we don't stop him soon, the consequences will be catastrophic. Alice looked at Isabel, who nodded. We're willing to help. Rex smiled approvingly. Welcome aboard. We must leave immediately. Thomas won't give up easily. They quickly left the lab, following Rex and his team to the Resistance headquarters, located in a hidden underground base. The base was filled with high-tech equipment and well-trained personnel. Alice and her companions were brought to a conference room where Rex detailed Thomas's plans and the Resistance's strategy. Thomas has mastered various transport technologies across parallel universes. He aims to use these to rule all universes. We need to stop him and reclaim the critical technologies he's taken. Isabel nodded. I can provide my research. It might help you counter Thomas. Rex was grateful. That would be invaluable. Every bit of help is crucial. After the meeting, Alice and Carl were taken to a lab to assist with the technological research. Lily was assigned to a special room where she could use her precognition abilities to help devise strategies. As time passed, they learned more about the Resistance's operations and felt the determination and courage of its members. Alice and Carl continually improved the equipment, while Isabel shared her research findings, driving the Resistance's plans forward. One night, Lily appeared suddenly, her face serious. I have a premonition that Thomas is planning a massive attack targeting our base. Rex's brow furrowed. He's finally making his move. We must prepare our defenses immediately. Alice and Carl quickly adjusted the defense systems and placed additional protective measures in key areas. The entire base went into emergency mode, with everyone preparing for the imminent battle. In the dead of night, the base's alarms blared. Thomas's army surged forward, well-equipped and formidable. The Resistance members, though tense, carried out their defense with precision, ready for this decisive battle. We must hold this position, Rex shouted, for the future of all parallel universes. Alice and Carl fought side by side, using their scientific knowledge and equipment to counter the enemy. Isabel coordinated the defense strategies from behind the lines, while Lily's precognition played a crucial role in avoiding multiple deadly attacks. The battle was fierce and brutal, but the Resistance members stood their ground with unwavering resolve and courage. After a night of intense fighting, Thomas's forces were finally repelled, but it was only a temporary victory. Gasping for breath, Alice watched the retreating enemies, knowing this fight was far from over. She understood that Thomas would return, and they had to prepare for the final showdown. We've won a battle, but the war continues, Rex said solemnly. We must strengthen our defenses and find Thomas's main base. Alice nodded. We'll do everything we can to protect the future of the parallel universes. They knew the road ahead would be full of challenges, but they had built a foundation of trust and cooperation. No matter the obstacles, they would face them together, determined to safeguard the future of the parallel universes. After a night of fierce battle, the Resistance had won a temporary victory, but everyone knew this was only the beginning of a greater challenge. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel decided to take the offensive and locate Thomas's final stronghold to end this interdimensional conspiracy once and for all. In the Resistance headquarters meeting room, Rex unfolded a complex map of the multiverse, marked with various nodes and portals across parallel universes. Thomas's base is hidden among these nodes, Rex explained. We need to find it and launch an attack. Alice scrutinized the map, pointing to a node marked in red. This node stands out. We should investigate it first. Rex nodded in agreement. That's our best lead. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel, you'll form the team to scout it out. I'll have other members ready for support. They quickly prepared their equipment and weapons, boarding a stealth ship bound for the marked node. As the ship traveled through space, Alice felt a mix of tension and anticipation. She knew this mission was crucial for the future of all universes. The ship landed on a desolate planet, silent except for the faint sound of wind. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel carefully disembarked and began their search for Thomas's base. "This place looks deserted," Carl whispered. "But don't let your guard down. Thomas could be watching us." Lily closed her eyes, concentrating. "I sense a strong energy surge ahead." They followed Lily's lead, arriving at a massive rocky cave. The entrance was hidden, almost completely covered by vines and rocks, but Lily's intuition was spot on. Alice took out a laser cutter, slicing through the vines and rocks to reveal a dark opening. They turned on their flashlights and cautiously entered the cave. Deeper inside, they saw flickering lights. They quickened their pace and finally arrived at a spacious underground laboratory filled with high-tech equipment. The air was thick with a stifling tension. "This must be Thomas's base," Alice whispered. "We need to be careful." Suddenly, alarms blared and red warning lights flashed. Thomas's voice echoed through the speakers, filled with mockery. "Alice, I knew you would come." Alice clenched her fists. "Thomas, we won't let you succeed." Thomas chuckled coldly. "Do you really think you can stop me? I already control the power of the parallel universes." Alice, Carl, and Lily quickly spread out to search for Thomas. The lab was a maze of corridors, and they needed to find the core control room and destroy Thomas's plans. As they searched, a squad of armed robots appeared and attacked. Alice and Carl retaliated swiftly, their laser guns lighting up the darkness. Lily used her precognitive abilities to dodge attacks, while Isabel used a device to disrupt the robot's systems. "We can't waste too much time here," Alice shouted. "We need to find the control room." Lily closed her eyes and concentrated. "The control room is at the end of the left corridor? Follow me." They hurried down the corridor, arriving at a heavy metal door. Carl used a decoder to unlock it, and the door slowly opened, revealing a vast control room. In the center stood Thomas, grinning triumphantly in front of a massive device. "You're just in time to witness my ultimate victory." Alice gripped her laser gun tightly, eyes sharp. "Thomas, stop your insane plan." Thomas sneered. "You can't stop me. This device will open portals to all parallel universes, and I will control everything." Alice stood her ground. "We won't let you harm any universe." As they prepared for the final confrontation, Isabel suddenly raised her device, emitting a powerful energy wave that disrupted Thomas's control device. Thomas's face twisted in rage. "How dare you?" Alice, Carl, and Lily rushed forward, engaging Thomas in combat. Despite Thomas's formidable combat skills, Alice and Carl's teamwork gradually gave them the upper hand. Lily's precognition allowed her to dodge his attacks and identify weaknesses. Finally, Alice found an opening and landed a powerful punch, knocking Thomas to the ground. Carl quickly subdued him, ensuring he couldn't cause more trouble. "You failed, Thomas," Alice said coldly. Gasping for breath, Thomas's eyes burned with anger and despair. "You think you've won? This is just the beginning." At that moment, the control device began to shake violently, and alarms blared once more. Isabel's face grew serious. "The device is out of control. We need to shut it down immediately, or it will trigger a chain reaction across the universes." Alice sprang into action, following Isabel's instructions to shut down the device. They worked quickly and nervously, finally managing to power it down at the last second, averting disaster. "We did it," Alice exhaled deeply. "But this fight isn't over." Rex and other resistance members arrived, taking Thomas and his henchmen into custody for further interrogation and processing. "You've done well," Rex said approvingly. "Thomas's scheme has been thwarted, but we still need to ensure the safety of the parallel universes." Alice nodded. "We'll keep working to protect the peace of every universe." Despite the numerous challenges and dangers they had faced, Alice and her team remained steadfast in their beliefs, ultimately achieving victory. They knew the future was still full of unknowns, but as long as they stayed united, they could face any challenge and safeguard the peace and safety of the parallel universes. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel finally had a moment to catch their breath after returning to the Resistance headquarters. Although Thomas had been captured, the threat was far from over. His organization had been severely crippled, but remnants still operated across various parallel universes. Determined to eliminate these lingering threats and ensure peace and stability, Alice prepared for the next steps. In the headquarters meeting room, Alice and Rex held an emergency meeting to discuss their strategy. Thomas's scheme has been thwarted, but his organization is still active across the universes. We must eradicate these remnants, Rex stated. Alice nodded. We need to track them down and ensure they can no longer threaten the peace of the parallel universes. Carl quickly brought up a network map of parallel universes on the computer. We've identified some new nodes that might be bases for Thomas's remaining forces. Lily closed her eyes, focusing. I sense a strong energy surge in a remote universe. It could be Thomas's final hidden base. Isabel interjected. We need to move swiftly and not give them any chance to regroup. Rex agreed. Alice, take your team and head to this new node immediately. We'll prepare support here. Alice and her team quickly geared up and boarded the stealth ship by heading for the location Lily had sensed. The ship sped through space, finally landing on a desolate, cold planet that felt like an abandoned wasteland. This place looks like an old mining site, Carl noted, but our sensors show strong energy readings here. Alice nodded. We must be cautious. There could be traps. Following the energy readings, they found a concealed underground lab. The entrance was hidden, but Lily's intuition guided them to the right spot. Inside, the lab was filled with high-tech equipment and surveillance devices. Alice and Carl quickly disabled the alarm system to avoid alerting the enemy. Deeper within, they came across a heavy metal door secured with a complex code lock. Carl used a decoder to crack the lock, and the door slowly opened, revealing a large control room. At the center stood Thomas, his face twisted in a cruel smile. So you found me here. Alice glared at him. Thomas, this ends now. Thomas chuckled dismissively. You think you can stop me? The power of the parallel universes is within my grasp. As Alice prepared to respond, Lily suddenly sensed a strong premonition. Watch out, Alice. He's leading us into a trap. Alice reacted quickly, but it was too late. Thomas pressed a button, and the control room's floor split open, sending them plunging into a massive underground pit. The pit was filled with sharp rocks and intricate trap mechanisms. Alice and her team had to find a way out quickly. Carl used his technical skills to disable some traps, but they found themselves in a maze-like underground facility. We need to find an exit fast, Alice urged. Thomas is preparing to escape. We can't let him get away. Lily focused her senses. I can feel the exit ahead. We need to follow this path. Following Lily's guidance, they navigated the treacherous maze and finally found a way back to the surface. However, they returned to find the control room empty, with a self-destruct device activated. We need to shut this device down, or the entire planet will be destroyed, Carl shouted. Alice and Carl worked together, with Isabel providing technical support. They managed to deactivate the self-destruct sequence, averting disaster at the last moment. Thomas escaped, but at least we stopped his plan, Alice said, catching her breath. Suddenly, Lily had another strong premonition. Her eyes widened. I see Thomas. He's preparing his final plan near a parallel universe node. We must go there immediately to stop him. Alice nodded. Let's move. We can't let Thomas continue his scheme. They quickly returned to the ship, set new coordinates, and headed towards the location Lily had sensed. As the ship entered a new parallel universe, they knew this would be their final confrontation with Thomas. Near the node, they discovered a massive energy tower, the core of Thomas's plan. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel swiftly entered the tower, ready to face the final challenge. This time, we must defeat Thomas for good, Alice said resolutely. They encountered numerous obstacles inside the tower, but worked together seamlessly. Finally, they reached the tower's top, where Thomas was preparing to activate his device. You're just in time, Thomas sneered. Witness my ultimate victory. We won't let you succeed, Alice responded coldly. A fierce battle ensued at the tower's peak. Alice and her team fought with everything they had against Thomas. Eventually, Alice seized an opportunity and used her laser gun to disable Thomas's device. Desperation flickered in Thomas's eyes. He knew his plan had failed. Alice stepped forward, saying firmly, Your schemes end here. Thomas was taken back to the Resistance headquarters to face trial and punishment. Alice and her team finally breathed a sigh of relief, knowing the threat to the parallel universes had been neutralized. We did it, Alice said, exhaling deeply. But this is just the beginning. Back at the headquarters, they were greeted as heroes. Rex expressed his gratitude. You've saved countless universes. You are true heroes. Alice smiled. We were just doing our duty. As long as we stand united, we can protect the peace of the parallel universes. Despite the many challenges and dangers, Alice and her team had remained steadfast in their beliefs and achieved a decisive victory. They knew the future held more unknowns, but as long as they stood together, they could face any challenge and safeguard the peace and safety of the parallel universes. After Thomas was taken away, Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel returned to the Resistance headquarters. Despite their temporary victory, the atmosphere in the base remained tense. They all knew that the war was far from over. In the meeting room, Alice and her team discussed their next steps. Although we destroyed Thomas's main base and gained control of the interdimensional node, Alice said, his followers are still active. We need to eliminate them completely. Rex nodded. According to our intelligence, Thomas's remnants are regrouping in several key parallel universes. Isabel added, we can use the power of the node to block these universes, preventing them from escaping. Carl quickly typed on his computer, displaying a complex map of the multiverse. We've identified several key nodes where they are gathering. Lily closed her eyes, concentrating. After a moment, she opened them, filled with unease. I saw a vision. Thomas's plan is more than just controlling parallel universes. There's a deeper conspiracy. She looked at them with a trembling voice. Thomas was just the tip of the iceberg. Behind him is a more powerful force, a dark interdimensional organization. They are the real masterminds. Alice was shocked. Are you saying we've been fighting a much larger conspiracy all along? Lily nodded. Yes, their goal is to use the power of the parallel universes to alter the structure of reality and control everything. Rex's expression grew serious. This is indeed a greater threat. We need to uncover the truth about this dark organization to fully resolve the problem. Isabel pondered. Perhaps we can find some clues through Thomas's network. Carl began tracing Thomas's network on his computer. After a few minutes, he found a hidden folder containing extensive information about the dark organization. Look at this, Carl showed the others. These are Thomas's communications with the dark organization. Alice read through the records, finding key clues. The dark organization's headquarters is in a place called Shadow City, a hidden city within the parallel universes. Rex nodded. We need to find this city and uncover the dark organization's secrets. They decided to split up. Alice and Carl continued their research in the lab. Lily used her precognitive abilities to gather more information, and Isabel led a team to track down members of the dark organization. A few days later, Lily had a strong premonition. She saw a clearer vision, the exact location of Shadow City and the dark organization's core members. We found it, Lily said excitedly. Shadow City is hidden in a very remote parallel universe. We can reach it through this node. Alice, Carl, and Isabel quickly prepared the transport device, gathering the necessary equipment and weapons. With the support of Rex and the Resistance, they set off on this dangerous journey. Using the node, they arrived in a city filled with shadows and an oppressive atmosphere. The architecture was ancient and grand, yet eerie. This is Shadow City, Alice whispered. We must be careful. Enemies could be anywhere. They moved cautiously through the city, searching for the dark organization's headquarters. Lily used her precognitive abilities to avoid dangerous areas. Eventually, they reached a large castle. This is the headquarters, Lily confirmed. We need to get inside and find their leader. They carefully entered the castle, which was filled with complex traps and defense systems. Alice and Carl used their technical knowledge to disable these obstacles, finally reaching the core control room. In the center stood a tall figure, the leader of the dark organization, the Shadow King. Welcome, Alice, the Shadow King's deep voice echoed in the room. I've been expecting you. Alice's eyes were resolute. We won't let you succeed, Shadow King. The Shadow King sneered. You're too naive. My plan has already begun. No one can stop me. He pressed a button, and the room's device began to operate, filling the air with intense energy waves. Alice and Carl quickly tried to shut down the device, but found its defense system incredibly strong. We need to find the core of the control device, Carl said. Lily concentrated, foreseeing the device's weak point. The core is in that corner. We need to attack simultaneously to shut it down. Alice and Carl followed Lily's instructions, attacking the core together and finally shutting down the device. The Shadow King's face twisted in rage as he charged at them, but Isabel repelled him with a powerful blast from her device. How is this possible? The Shadow King fell to the ground, his eyes filled with bitterness and anger. Alice stepped forward. Your conspiracy ends here. With the device shut down, Shadow City began to collapse. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel quickly escaped back to their universe. They knew the battle had been tough, but the final victory was theirs. The Dark Organization was destroyed, and the safety of the parallel universes was ensured. Rex met them at the base entrance, his face filled with relief. You did it. Alice nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. We did it together. Despite the countless dangers and challenges, their courage and wisdom ultimately triumphed. They knew the future remained uncertain, but as long as they stood united, they could face any challenge and protect the peace and safety of the parallel universes. Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel's efforts finally brought stability back to the parallel universes. As time passed, Thomas's organization was completely dismantled, and the interdimensional portals were securely controlled, eliminating the threats. Alice and her team enjoyed a brief period of peace, but they knew the balance of the universe still required their vigilance. At the Resistance headquarters, Alice and her team were awarded the highest honors for their outstanding contributions to protecting the parallel universes. Rex delivered a brief but moving speech during the ceremony, praising their courage and wisdom. Your bravery and dedication have saved countless universes, Rex said. We are all immensely proud of you. Alice gratefully accepted the medal, but she knew this was just the beginning. Stepping up to the podium, she addressed the audience with determination. While we have achieved a great victory, we must not become complacent. The stability of the parallel universes requires the efforts of every one of us. Carl, Lily, and Isabel smiled at her from the audience, understanding that their battle was far from over. A few days later, Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel decided to return to their original universe and resume their lives. Despite their concerns about the future, they recognized the necessity of this break. We need to readjust to our normal lives, Alice told the team, but we must always be ready for new challenges. Using the transport device, they returned to their universe. The familiarity of home brought them great comfort. Alice returned to her laboratory to continue her research. Carl pursued innovations in the tech field. Lily used her precognitive abilities to help people, and Isabel resumed her role at the university, mentoring young scientists. Though back in their normal lives, they never forgot the adventures and challenges they had faced together. They knew that whenever needed, they would reunite to protect the peace of the parallel universes. One day, while working in her lab, Alice received a mysterious email. It contained only one line. The stability of the parallel universes remains fragile. We need your help. Frowning, Alice felt a surge of uncertainty. She knew this email signaled new challenges ahead. She immediately contacted Carl, Lily, and Isabel, sharing the email's content with them. Looks like our break is over, Carl said, a hint of excitement in his voice. Lily smiled. Whatever challenges we face, we'll tackle them together. Isabel nodded. Let's reunite and protect the peace of the parallel universes. They quickly regrouped, ready to embark on a new adventure. Though the future was uncertain, Alice and her team were prepared. They knew that as long as they stood united, they could overcome anything and safeguard the parallel universes. Let's get going, Alice said firmly, for the peace of all parallel universes. As they set off on their journey once more, Alice, Carl, Lily, and Isabel understood that no matter how many unknown dangers and challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, using their courage and wisdom to protect the future of the parallel universes.